Should we start that again? Oh, hello.
Well,
Hello.
hi, welcome to another Radicam TV video.
And we're not selling anything.
No, we're not selling.
We're not reviewing anything.
No.
We're not reviewing anything. We're just going to talk about touring. We're back touring.
I know. It's been a whole year of touring, nearly.
I've done 2.
Yeah, I'm on my second one soon, or
I have been on it.
or have been on it, depending on when you watch the video.
We've had a full year's touring. We've had to. Miguel have been really lucky because they've had to book extra tours. So they doubled up on the Arctic tour, doubled up on
2 of the Picos in northern Portugal and the Grand Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had 4 of those, or 2 of each.
And they've all been full.
Yeah.
Bursting full, which is great.
And it's been really, really good. And I did a video a few weeks ago about riding through Spain, because I've done 3. I've done 2 with Magellan and 1 of my own. Riding down through France and Spain, and the difference that I've found about people's driving and etiquette towards everybody on the road in France. Really surprised. Even though the speed limits haven't all gone up to the 90, they're still at 80 and they're still in this transition phase, so you can only go with what's on the sign. I know that somebody put a comment on there saying it said 90 and I was doing 87 and I got done for going 7 over an 80 and he's wrangling, but that's French politics, isn't it?
I got caught twice in France speeding.
Well, you got caught by a drone, didn't you?
I caught by a drone in the Vosges Mountains. And when I tell people that, you can see the look of horror on their faces, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I did notice that actually in Portugal and parts of Spain, especially the inaccessible places by speed cameras and that sort of stuff, that there are a lot of signs now with drones and helicopters as well, monitoring your speed. And there's lots of different markings on the road in different places now that they can get your average distance and speed and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But I did the Austrian Swiss Alps tour and then Croatia, which is the 7th time I've done Croatia. I've done the Austrian Swiss Alps tour twice. No incidents at all with regards to road rage or anything like that, until we got back towards the tunnel. And it was British drivers. I was like, oh, come on, fellas, you're better than that.
And that is the one thing. They talk about back to work blues, don't they? Mm-hmm. But there is a back to the UK blues, especially if you're going away on a holiday like we go, or we take people on, we work, but, you know, on a tour like we do, because the roads are, I don't know, sublime is a good way of saying.
It's a big place, Europe.
Yeah.
And it's spread out a lot. I mean, France is massive. You don't realise on our Croatia tour, it takes us 2 days to get down through France, 2.5 days, and then you get into Germany, and it's just like you don't realise how spacious it is until you have to ride across it or down through the length of it.
And it's nice to get up in the morning and see the sunshine. I know that we've had in this country a heat wave that everybody was going to die apparently, and nobody's got water, and fortunately they've got toilet rolls, but nobody's got any water to drink and it's too hot. But but the same has been happening through France, Spain, Portugal. That was the one surprise for me, even though it's open and we're riding and it's as if nothing has happened COVID-wise. It's almost back to how it was before, just as welcomed, even though you got a UK registration. Although, funnily enough, I was asked in Portugal whether I come from Ukraine.
I was asked that in Austria.
But just as welcoming, just as nice. The things that I noticed about touring in Europe this year was that the amount of water that isn't in the dams and in their lakes and reservoirs is the same as over here. They've had a terrible time of low water. But I get the feeling that they're not so het up about it because they're not treating it the same as perhaps this country does, where they want to wash their cars every 5 minutes. They're actually carrying out their normal life, and it doesn't seem to be affecting them in the way that it does here.
I think the problem, like where we are down in Cornwall, there's 450,000 people live in Cornwall during the winter.
And then there's 11 million visit us in
millions
summer.
come in there, and they all come off the beach, they all want to shower, and that's where our water goes.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, France is so big, you know, they've got reserves, but it's not under stress like ours is, you know, like that. So that's
why can't we shower and flush toilets with like rainwater?
I do. I live in an eco house.
Yeah. It's called a hobbit. No, but
it annoys me that we flush fresh water down, drinking water down the
Because we're
toilet.
paying for it, aren't we?
Yeah, anyway, let's not go there.
Yeah, that's a sore subject. But riding down through France, 39 degrees was extremely hot. So I've invested in some different gear, some mesh jackets. So we might well do some review while I'm away of that
Or you've done it.
jacket, or I've done it, depending on when you're watching it. What I did notice though is the difference in the ferries. So we used to use for our Spain tours Plymouth to Roscoff on the Pont of Von, and then Plymouth to Santander on the
You're getting your
Pont of Von,
destinations mixed up.
and then Santander to Plymouth on the Pont of Von. But this time, because of the ferry schedules have changed slightly and they don't kind of match our 12-day tours, we go out from Plymouth to Santander on the Pont of Von, and then back from Santander to Portsmouth on the Galicia.
Didn't they have a problem with the ferry before the lockdown started?
That was Pont of Von caught fire, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's why we had to go down through France for one of the tours. But the Pont of Von, if you're listening, Brittany Ferries, the ferries are really clean. They've got loads of stuff on there. There's loads of entertainment. I love going and locking myself away in my cabin and sleeping, because it's just great to catch up on sleep both before the tour and after the tour.
And you say I'm a hobbit.
I love it. I love it.
I
But
don't hibernate.
there are two differences on the ferry. So the Pont of Von, they put you on your motorbike down in the bowels of the ship, which is fine. But they cram you in so much so that you can barely get in between the bikes. And don't get me wrong, the staff that are securing your bikes to the ground are really, really lovely. They're really, really good. You can't go wrong. But when we got to Spain on the last tour in September, 3 or 4 people dropped their bikes in the melee of getting out, because they seem to take the bikes in, wrap them all in, you can barely get in between, but then when you come to get to your destination, you're one of the last people that they call for because you're at the bottom of the ship. Everybody goes down there, you're surrounded by trucks and caravanette type things.
Motorhomes.
Yeah, that's it. Caravanette, show my age. And the trouble with that is people start getting hot.
It's really hot.
Yeah,
now.
really hot. Then the odd person turns their engine on, and then when everything starts moving, everybody's engine's on, so we're quietly killing each other. And it takes a long time for them to put those massive fan air conditioning things on. And there's loads of wires all across the floor. There's like these circular points with crosses in them where they tether everything, and then through those they've got like really strong metal all the way along, or
So you
wires,
can strap your bikes down to.
so you can strap your bikes down. But what that means is it's very dicey to manoeuvre your bike through, and they bring you down this steep ramp, and rather than going, well actually we'll take them all the way down the bottom, turn them around so they're facing, so all they've got to do on their bike is get back on the bike and go up the ramp. No, they don't do that. Come all the way down the ramp, go round the corner, and then right into the very corner of the ship. So you've then got to get off your bike and pull it backwards because you can't go forward. The edge of the ship's there. They just don't. I think money is overruling the way that they treat bikers on that ferry.
Did somebody say there were 600 bikes on the road tours?
I've never seen the ferry that full of anything. Wherever you went, there was hundreds of people everywhere.
And they make a lot of money out of bikes.
Yeah.
Because it's such a small
Well, if you think
thing.
the ferry return from Plymouth to Spain and back is roughly about £800-900
Wow.
per bike. So if you've got several hundred bikes in there, we must be paying the same price as a car.
I don't know.
But you're crammed in, and then you get off in Spain, and I've got to say that the passport control and stuff is a dream in Spain. One, because the weather's much better, but they seem to treat bikers in a different way. So you get back to Plymouth, you get back to Portsmouth, so in that extreme heat, get back to Plymouth on the ferry that one was Plymouth that was my tour. Went back, all the bikes come out, and they lead you round this intricate detail of hairpin bends along all these cars and stuff ready for the passport control. Bear in mind it was like 34, 35 degrees. We've already cooked in the ship. So what do? the British authorities let all of the air-conditioned cars and lorries go through first, leaving all the bikers sweltering and dying in the heat. There's got to be an easier way, and I was thinking about this on the very, very long trip back to Portsmouth from Santander last time, which I loved. Why don't they, when you go down to your bike, because we're the last ones, why don't they have a passport control there at the entrance to the bay? So when you go down, you've got your stuff, you do your passport stuff, they stamp it, do whatever, give you a sticker or whatever it might be, so you put on your helmet or on your bike, go and get on your bike, and when you come out the ship, they wave you through it all because it's all been done.
God, you'll get nowhere. You're thinking like that.
I know.
That's crazy
because
talk.
you're inching forward, and there were several hundred bikes on that ferry. So you're inching forward, stopping, turning the bike off, turning it on, inching forward. It's not doing the bike any good. And that's where people were getting tired and they were dropping their bikes. 3 or 4 bikes were dropped in the queue waiting to get to the passport control.
And then you've got the tunnel.
Well,
You finish
before
with
you,
the
no,
Galicia
before you do the
first.
tunnel, then the Galicia, totally different. So Santander to Portsmouth is predominantly the Galicia, if I'm saying that right, or Galicia or
Just stay with
ferry.
Galicia. Okay.
Made in 2020, so really quite new. A lot smaller than the Pont Avon, but chalk and cheese. So we rode on, ushered on by the people in the vests, you know, the staff, went up, turned round, parked in the middle. We had that much space in between bikes so you could get off. The staff were lovely, and probably about 200 yards from where we parked was the door to the accommodation, and you're on that level.
200 yards. How
Yeah.
big's the ship? 200 yards.
Well, it felt like that. It's a big. No, but where it was, like the bulkhead, they brought us round with enough room to go through. There's none of these wires along the floor. Parked us, really polite, and literally just down the end of the ship, or halfway down the ship, behind the bulkhead, you go into the door and you're in the accommodation.
It's easy, isn't it?
And the accommodation is 4 berth cabins. Mm-hmm. So you get 4 beds in this. You've got all the space. Really, really nice ensuite. You get a telly. You don't get any tea and coffee making, but you don't on the Spanish hotels and stuff. It's a French thing more than Spanish. But funnily enough, I took a picture. Hopefully I still got it. In the rooms, because we don't have the ones with the windows, they've got this picture of a window
Makes it look
opening
like it's
out,
a room.
but they've got lights in the back of it, so when you turn the light on, it looks like you've got a sea view. It's brilliant. Really, really comfy ship. And on the last tour and on this tour that I'm about to, or have gone, everybody in the ship gets a free 3-course evening meal
Wow.
and a continental breakfast.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Unbelievable. And the ships are worlds apart. I'm not saying the staff on the Pont Avon are anything but really friendly and professional, but the way they treat bikes on the Pont Avon is completely different to how they treat them on the Galicia.
The tunnel. Because my 2 tours have had to go through the tunnel.
Okay.
God. You drive in, you've got all the big check-ins. Now, on our last tour we had 13 bikes. So you go to the same check-in as a car.
Yeah.
There's no people there, it's all done by a machine. So you have to stop, press it all, it's like a screen on the side of the thing, either side. Put your code in, then it comes up with what your options are for the train. So whatever time the train was, 8:20, it might give you an earlier one. Doesn't matter because you're going to get on the same train. You're not going to get on the train you booked on anyway because that's just not the way it works. And then you go through, but there's 13 bikes.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be quicker to have somebody in a cubicle, because that's what they're there, and all the bikes go to a cubicle, scan your passport or whatever it is, your card, bosh, there you go, you're through.
Yeah.
Not doing what the cars have to do. They have people standing there, but on the day we went through on the Croatia tour, bloke and a lady were just standing there, just chatting, not interested in helping anybody, and they only sort of started to help people when the queue was getting longer and longer and longer, because our 13 bikes went through, and then there was another group of people came in behind, and in this one lane there were probably 30 bikes.
Wow.
You know, and then they went, oh, we might have to do something here, you know, and then they started going a bit quicker. Put somebody, Eurotunnel, put somebody in a dedicated cubicle for just motorbikes.
Yeah.
And be really quick, then they go straight through. And then you go through into the terminal area, you sit down, have all the screens up, tell you what time you can board your train. You get put into lanes, and now you know you're not going to catch the train that you're booked onto. Because all they're trying to do is fill up the backs of the trains, because the bikes always go on the back of the train. Fill up as many as they can, so you see your timetable going. The train is now leaving, you know, all the rest of it, and you're still sat in a lane because there might be.
But you know you're not going to miss it because you're going to catch the next one.
Every 10 minutes they're off, like. But you know, then they load you on, and bizarrely enough, sometimes when we went across on the first time, there were 6 bikes in the carriage, and then they closed the doors.
Wow.
Just 6, and then there was nothing behind us. So on that train, only 6 bikes. There were nearly 200 bikes waiting to come across.
Wow.
So I understand how it works, or whatever. But before you get even to the train, you've then got to go through customs. And again, it's a lottery. You know, they've got people sat there, and you turn up, you've got your passport, you have to go through the British side, you have to get it through the French side. The British side just go, yeah, off you go, off you go. Oh no, you've got to go into this lane over here where they get 10 bikes, and then they swab them.
Right, okay.
Swab them for whatever. But the bizarre thing is, if you're swabbing 10 bikes, okay, you'd think you'd have to use 10 swabs. Whatever it is you're swabbing for, but it's one person, one swab. All your helmets have to come off. You have to open your bags, and then they go in and they use the same swab on every bike. So whatever it is they're looking for.
Well, that's great, because that gives you a get out if ever they say, oh, there's drugs here or there's something here. Well, how can you prove that was in my bike?
It's ridiculous.
It wasn't
and he's using this thing here, and he goes through every bike, swabs everything, and then they go, yeah, bye. And you all have to drive up. And then you have to go through French customs. Now, the 2 times I've been through, so I've been from the UK side and then back through the French side, there might be 12 cubicles there. But like in the morning when it's really busy, there might be 3 people.
Yeah.
And they have to stamp your passport, and they go, take your helmet off. So again, all the motorcyclists have to take their helmets off. You know, open your balaclava, pull your balaclava down. You know, so people are losing earplugs. They've got to stop. Fellas, there's got to be a better way of doing it.
There's got to be a better way.
And then you get through, and then you're off. So that was that. So that's my gripe about customs. However, on the tour I've been on, we go through Bosnia, Slovenia, Croatia. Most of it's fine. Going through Bosnia, so you're going out of Croatia into Bosnia, massive long queue. Blokes checking all the passports, all the rest of it, and then you have to go and get a green card. So he's doing all that, and then his phone rings, and he's on the phone. He's just going, "Yeah, go through."
I love it.
And I got caught one time coming back through Croatia, and the Croatian guard had his feet out the window, and he's fast asleep. He's out of it, completely out. He's got his hands back like that. So I sat there with my bike running, people behind. Not a movement. So I just drove through. Went to No Man's Land to get my vignette for going into Slovenia. Came back, and he's woken up, and he's got all the passports off my group, and he's going, you don't go through till he comes back. So I drive. I also see a problem. So I drive back. I had to bend that.
That's you. That's it. Yeah, so you drive back.
So I drive back. He gives all the passports out to everybody in my group. Takes my passport, chucks it on the windowsill, lies back, puts his feet out the window, and then goes to sleep. And I sit there for 10 minutes. 10 minutes! And then he wakes up, looks at me like with one eye, gives me my passport.
Wow.
And just does it. Like, okay. Yeah. So, complete contrast. Yeah. But it's great to be back touring again.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's really nice.
Yeah,
all the hotels we stayed in,
friendly,
great.
Aren't they?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, and they're as friendly as they were before. All this Brexit stuff that people keep going on about, all this stuff that they think is going to affect us. Not everybody voted leave. Lots of people did. Lots of people didn't. There doesn't seem to be any prejudice against people that I've come across, other than wanting to help you because we're all people.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. The weather's been great. Touring is great. Don't put it off. Don't let it put you off about going on the Pont Avon. Just wish the ferry companies would do something about treating bikers perhaps a little bit differently, perhaps a little bit better on their ferry.
So we're loving touring.
Love
Can't
it.
wait for next year. I've got
I've got two.
I've got Pyrenees twice.
I've got the Picos in northern Spain. No, Picos in northern Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Picos and the one goes in.
Anyway, you're going abroad somewhere.
Yeah, and the Grand Tour again, because they are my two favourites. In actual fact, even though the Grand Tour is one of my favourites, the Picos Tour in northern Portugal, not for the Picos, because the Picos, it wouldn't worry me if I didn't go there again, because I've ridden them so many times. I love them. They're great roads, don't get me wrong. There's so much more in Spain that tops it and equals it and tops it. But the Portugal... if ever you get a chance to go to Portugal, go to Portugal. The people are amazing. The driving standard is appalling, but the people are so, so nice. And it's so cheap. 3 coffees, 3 donuts, change from €10.
I've got to tell you, we stayed in a place. We stay in this hotel on the way back up from Croatia in a place called Zada. And we stay in this resort hotel. And so you have to pay for your evening meals there. So... when you go in, it's like a big buffet thing. You just eat as much as you want. But there's free wine, free beer during the meal.
Wow.
And then when we get the bill afterwards, for 2 people, €12.
I know, it's insane. It's insane. Portugal, Spain, fixed menus for the day, €15. Pick what you want from each course. Really good service with wine and beer if you want it, water. Couldn't be more welcoming, and I love being back touring.
Right, that's it.
Yeah, so go and tour.
Go and do some touring.
Look at the description.
Come with us.
Come with us. Come on a tour with us, because you get a discount and you do great tours. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Tell us in the comments about your touring stories. Be interesting to read through some of them and perhaps talk about them on the next video. See if they match up with some of ours. Anyway, bye.
See ya.